Well, we've got a good number of packages to go through. A lot of small ones. I probably could have, probably down here. Probably could have opened a couple of these up in advance, but I ended up not having the time to do that. I'm just a little bit tired. I may have gone up 11 floors of stairs, however many flights you would count that as. Flight is each thing straight in a row, then that's 22 flights. If it's each floor, then that's 11 floors. Anyways, it was a lot of steps. Let's see, put that aside, and we got that little seat there, which we always have to be careful of. And hey, look, it's Hentai Heaven Volume 7, the DVD version, and I had the Blu-ray version last week. Cool. Next up, I don't remember, I kind of do these in whatever order. Biggest to small. So, and this isn't everything, but this is 3 out of the 4 things. Shouldn't go towards, but desperate time calls for desperate measures. Okay, I see a receipt thing here. Cool. Okay. So that's just a piece of paper, and this is the actual contents of this contents. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Let's look at this stuff later. I'll begin with, or end with this, which is probably, I'm not sure what I have here. I think it was a duplicate of something I already got. But this box is bigger than I expected it to be for it to have been that. So I don't know what this is, and I am confused. Oh look, there's a receipt. Off to the side. Yeah. There's a limited edition version of it, maybe? This doesn't look like the one I had before. When the promised flowers bloom. Well, the important thing is I have that, and then we have this, with this week's anime. Well, the rest is this week's anime too, but this is the rest of the big Amazon thing, and by big I mean 3 or 4 things, I guess. We'll just do that. Nothing else in there. Alright, so let's begin with Darling in the Franxx. First we have to check under here for a sexy part 2. Nope, just a lot of blue. Which is kind of sexy if you're into that. Maybe Super Saiyan blue. Yes. Oh, look, regions A and B. First one was probably similar English dub, DVD Blu-ray versions, watch anywhere. Now here's our playback specials. Web previews, text lists opening and closing. Plus 100 minutes of extras. Well, you know, whatever. The important thing is now I get to watch the second half of this series, and I think there was something. Well, maybe it was the next. I don't know. Things to think about. Things to watch. I don't remember what the discs looked like. I don't think they looked like this. So we got Blu-ray 1 and Blu-ray 2, then DVD 1 and DVD 2. You know, nice and simple. What the fuck did I do with? Okay, yeah, it looked like that. I'm trying to think where the first half of this is so that I can, like, take this and put this in that thing and have the 2 things, but how long ago was that? Maybe it's in that pile? Ooh, sorry. Did I already rip it? Well, I guess I'm not seeing it immediately. That's not for y'all to worry too much about. It would be nice to see if they all fit together, which they should, but I'm not going to look for it too hardly. Next up we have Tokyo Ghoul Part 1, which... do I actually know what the fuck this is? Continuation, an alternative version, well, it is a more Tokyo Ghoul. Complete your collection with uncut episodes. I see special features, never before seen interview with the English cast and crew, Japanese promo videos, region A and B. That's always nice to see. English dub. 2 years after... okay, I don't even remember the names. There was a raid on something. Do I remember what happened in each of the seasons of the first one? I got the impression that the original second half of the second core of Tokyo Ghoul was not something or the other with manga, and this is a different branching off point so that things are more correct. I don't know. I'll have to... Tokyo Ghoul, you know, had its interesting stuff. I should probably figure out what the fuck I'm about to watch before I watch it, because I am curious to see where it goes. It had some morbid stuff, some interesting stuff. I bet there's a sexy shoulder underneath that. Or a sexy elbow. Maybe a bit of a sexy knee. Chio's School Road. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to what I was revealing when I took it off. Ooh, regions A and B. Blu-ray, English dub. That escalated quickly. That sounds amusing. I'm not seeing anything listing specials. This looks comedy. I mean, the front looks comedy, but it looks comedy. Is this a Funimation week? This is a Funimation week, isn't it? All the stuff from Amazon came from Funimation. That's weird. Well, let's see what's in here first. I got to... Okay, well, I got this, and obviously this piece of paper needs to go there. Don't miss the manga, Chio's School Road. That's a lot of midriff. Not riffing on the midriff, just belly aching about the... I don't know. Actually, technically, I do have a slight stomach discomfort of some sort. What? Disc 2. Okay, this is disc 1, this is disc 2. And we just had a piece of blue plastic go and sneak away. What's the difference? I don't see a difference. I might be blind, but I don't see a difference. Oh well. The important thing is we've got Chio's School Road. And then we have Junji Ito Collection, the complete series. Okay, I'm not going to even pretend that I recognize the name. It's just the way it looks like makes me think, oh yeah, this is a person that created famous horror. I'm tempted to say imagery, but the truth of the matter is it may be manga comics. 24 uncensored selections. Collection Fireworks and Horror and Shiver. And this could be somebody else entirely. Extras include 2 OVAs. Horror and Shiver. Anyways, regions A and B. English dub. I think they're shorter than like a full-length episode, but for little horror snippets that might not be too bad. It probably isn't too bad. It's also an interesting curiosity. I just have to work up the energy to watch it. Not that it looks like it needs energy in particular, just that I'm kind of in that state where I'm just now noticing it's Blu-ray. Episodes 1 through 9, episodes 10 through 12 plus extras. How many did this say there was? Maybe they're not half length, maybe they're full length. Oh god, that kind of makes it 24 uncensored selections. Probably means each episode is a collection of 2 things. Well, she looks happy. It's probably not a good thing. I don't know if she looks happy. She doesn't look very pleased to not be completely on the cover. That might not be a good sign. If you don't see me again, just make sure you say hi to my mom in the Discord. So now here's the one that might have been a duplicate. Might not be. I don't know. So this is illegible. So this is Maquia When the Promised Flower Blooms. I'm wondering... I ordered this through Right Stuff. Region A, of course. Is this English dubbed or English subbed? What the hell is the other thing I got? It's in this pile to my left, but now I don't want to figure out that one's a Shout Factory release. This doesn't look Shout Factory. Again, this looks more like something you'd import from Japan. Look at this stuff. Maybe I imported this a long time ago. I have to say that I don't remember what was on the other one, but I suspect this all looks far more awesome. And we're going to put that partially in there as we continue to go through this list of stuff. We have here Special Story. I bet it's in Japanese? No, that's English text. Interesting. What the fuck do I have? Oh, special disc Blu-ray. And this is a Blu-ray. These all say Nozomi. What the fuck do I have here? This is good. I really like this. This is some pretty wholesome, slice of lifey looking stuff. I don't know what I'm doing apparently, but I am going to take a look at this. I've got another one of these finally, which I think I always leave these in the plastic, but this is Mobile Suit Gundam Narrative, which I think is NT. This is an import from Japan through Right Stuff, because as usual, Gundam stuff tends to be dubbed for its Japanese releases so that they can just, you know, double dip on the American market. You know, they have to find suckers like me to buy this stuff, but oh shit. See, this is a Japanese release, so I'm going to have to put it back in the plastic, which is why I put it there instead of throwing it away. 4 discs. 8 something. I'm not going to try to read that anymore. I am going to take a look at the Gundam stuff. More Gundam stuff, although this is more colored in character information, although I didn't see if it was in English, probably not. Ooh, a drama CD, which I probably cannot watch, or rather listen to, on account of the fact that I do not understand Japanese. I'm tempted to call it Moonspeak. I think that's a reference to something they chose to call it in something. The destination of the new type myth. What? I mean, what? Narrative, new type myth. Same as the other thing. Except on the inside here we have the disc. Over here we have the bonus disc, which is also Blu-ray, but probably doesn't have anything translated. Unicorn. Headphones. Another little booklet. Operation Phoenix Hunt Report. Yep. Nothing but scribbles to me, unfortunately. So, let's see. See, putting these back in the plastic bag is nice and tricky. And the unfortunate thing is I am going to eventually take them back out because I need to rip the disc. But I'll do that. I'll worry about that on my own time. Y'all just worry about I don't know. worry for my sanity what little of it still remains. Alright. Here's this week's anime DVD collection update. Alright, Naruto Shippuden. I didn't finish this volume with my friend, but we did finish the first disc, which I would say was actually, if that were the end of the series, that would be pretty good. I know it kind of does some more stuff afterwards, and I suspect a lot of that stuff is more about setting up the next series. But if the end of the first disc of this were the end of the series, that actually would be pretty good. To give a thought, Naruto as a series, okay, so at this point we're talking, what, 600-700, I don't know, maybe 500, but, you know, hundreds and hundreds of episodes, and it's been, I don't know, over a decade since I started my rewatch with my friend, and we've just been watching stuff. It's been forever, it's been long, and I'll put it back up there. If I keep it here, I continue thinking about it. Naruto as a series kind of has ups and downs, and some of them are really high ups and some of them are really downs. And one of the problems the series always kind of struggles with is it introduces these themes but doesn't really introduce a mechanism by which you would believe the series would be addressing these themes. And it feels like it gets stuck in some of them for a very long time. So there is an arc in Naruto Shippuden called the Pain Arc, and that one gets a lot of high praise, mostly because it is the series' first real attempt to address some of the underlying themes that the show has been playing around with. And it does it in a way that also finally involves the main character, where a lot of them kind of, or not main, but titular character, right? It's Naruto, right? So, as a titular character, you kind of want it to be a series that's more relevant about him. And especially in the first Naruto, it's mostly the story, the main story stuff is relevant regarding the main character, but it spends a lot of time on things other than the main character, and you don't feel like the main character is super relevant. And Naruto Shippuden is a lot better in that regard, but at the same time, it's taking it a long time to get places. But when it has payoff, it has payoff. And the Pain Arc, again, addressed this stuff in a very satisfactory way that just kind of... It was the best arc in the series, all of the series. But this stuff, when it gets near the end, doesn't exactly address all of it, but it ends in a conflict that is about all of it, but also about some of the themes set up at the beginning of the series. And not the beginning of the series, kind of the beginning, kind of the middle, and it, you know, flashes back to that a bit to kind of hammer that in. But in the end, the resolution of that is surprisingly good. Like, the writers, it felt like they kind of, you know, wrote themselves into a, well, okay, are we just going to conveniently ignore all this old stuff? And it doesn't. Which then raises the problem, okay, what are you going to do about it? Because they've established, like, philosophically different and conflicting ideas, and we as the audience have a vote on, okay, yours has this one major problem with it, his isn't perfect, but yours is definitely wrong. So what are you going to do about it, series, in order to wrap that stuff up? And of course I don't want to talk about what it did, but I would actually say it was very satisfactory. Like, after the Pain Arc, I would call this the second most satisfactory thing in the series. Is it worth it to watch the whole thing just to watch it? I guess it really depends. Pain Arc is definitely one of those ones that's just gonna blow your mind. Even telling you that it will do that, you don't understand how well it just ties into the theme of the series. And yeah, basically, I guess the issue is if you put a lot of time investment into Naruto, I feel it's worth it to put the investment into finishing it, because it, at least finishing the first disc of DVD set 37, which I don't know which episode it was. Actually, I could probably look at the disc and see which episode numbers are on it. So, episode 479. Now, maybe I'll have more to say when I watch the next couple of episodes, but that seems to be a good point in which to watch to. And the last handful of episodes were about wrapping it up. So this is one of those things where, like, if you have a series that does things right, then it feels really good when you have to have multiple episodes just kind of bringing you down and ending the story. And Naruto Shippuden seems to do that pretty well. So it's definitely no Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which also does that really well, but it has its moments, and wrapping things up is surprisingly actually not one of its better things, considering this doesn't wrap it up. There's the next disc after it, and I think another DVD set after this, and then Boruto, the animation series. And so obviously it didn't know to stop when it actually found a really good place to stop, probably because a lot of people made this their career and they kind of have forgotten how to do anything other than make episodes of Naruto, and they just don't want to let people know. But that's all stuff. I'm glad I put as much time into it as I have. There's a part of me that doesn't know if I'm going to continue doing so beyond this point, just because it gets kind of I don't know what becomes after this. I'll work that out with my friend. But otherwise, the other thing I watched was the second half of Gun Gale Online. And if there's only the one core or one season or whatever, then I guess I've watched it all. I should probably figure out if I've watched it all or not. But it did resolve the story that was told at the beginning of this arc. So one core arc seems to be at least what Gun Gale Online is. And what did I think about it? It was okay. It's got a little rumbling to it, like an engine that you're like, and I hope the engine doesn't die on me, but I don't think it ever does. Although, that's right, I was thinking this while watching this, and then still thinking about this while watching this. A lot of the final battle stuff in this is surprisingly dynamic. Where normally when you see a fight in Naruto Shippuden, you expect a certain flow to it, and you have certain moments where it kind of breaks out of that and it just does something kind of neat with the conflict. But this one, it felt like it did it for not only a long time, but a lot more thoughtful and building up of everything. And I remember thinking about that a lot while watching this, because this one wasn't quite as good in that regard, but it was still interesting. You just, at least with this second part, you kind of get this feeling that I kind of mentioned that the first part sort of gave you a little vibe up, and the second part gives you a little vibe up, but it doesn't really go in that territory. There's this kind of sort of girls are awesome, yeah, woohoo thing that is worrisome, because there's a lot of shows that tend to take that too far. And I didn't feel like this one did, but it did still have people cheering on our main character and her friend, talking about them like, well, I don't know, I guess idolizing them as women would be kind of that. And, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know how necessary it is from a narrative standpoint. And at the same time, I don't know that's necessarily not narratively relevant, but it just kind of teeters on the edge of kind of being too close to worshipping them for the sake of worshiping, which is a kind of a notable problem, because I think Sword Art Online kind of has a similar issue. And that probably means person to person, whether or not you feel it's too much or balanced just fine, probably, you know, it's going to differ per person's taste. So a lot of people think that Kirito from Sword Art Online shouldn't be so much the focus of attention as he is. And one of the things I liked about Sword Art Online was he kind of wasn't. And I know it doesn't seem that way because there's all these female characters that kind of like him. And the problem, I guess, with Sword Art Online is past the first core, when they start doing the Alfheim Online stuff and other things, it kind of has to be more about that stuff, because the first one is about a bunch of people who go through a death game, for lack of better words, and our main characters happens to be the ones that are interestingly noted in there. But, you know, they continue to be super interesting and noteworthy, and the stories are hit or miss beyond there, sometimes very much so, sometimes people hate it, and that's okay. But in the end, because in that first story arc, the relationship between the main character and all the other characters kind of makes sense. And this one, these aren't relationships going on, but these are still kind of realistic things where it's like, yeah, you know, sometimes people run into a girl on the internet and they go a little bonkers. And some of these people almost kind of do, but I don't know, they mix it up just enough where it's not too intrusive, and they kind of nod to the audience of, yeah, this guy's being kind of a little over the top. That's expected. And, yeah, overall, you know, it was an okay watch. I'm not sure if it's something that I would say, oh, you should definitely watch if you've watched Sword Art Online stuff. And like that, I guess. And I don't know if it's good if you're just okay with that and you want to explore other side universe things. It's hard to tell, because it is what it is. But outside of that, I actually didn't do much else. Like, I think there was a lot of naps and relaxing on VR chat. I think because last week I had a lot of little projects that I did, and I was trying to clean stuff up from some of those. For example, I made popcorn balls Wednesday night last week, I think. Yes, I did. Because we would have had story grooming, and I would have brought those in for grooming. And getting together with a friend. And the weekend was actually, my focus for the weekend was to make sure I reached the stopping point at Gundam Online. And I was wanting to watch more stuff. Like, I keep wanting to put on a movie, but a movie keeps being too long. In particular, I want to watch My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, because that's supposed to come before Season 3, and then I can start watching Season 3 without my friend, and then watch it with my friend when he is ready to watch it. But at this rate, I'm not going to make it. It's so... everything's so lost. Anyways, the main goal for this weekend is, since it was a 3-day weekend, I wanted to wash some of the anime body pillows. And if you've not owned them, or you haven't really thought about this sort of stuff a lot, it can be actually kind of tricky washing them. It's not hard, it's just, generally your body pillows come in, 2 flavors. One of which is actually kind of smaller pillows, which are almost more like throw pillows, except that they're kind of miniature body pillow shaped or something like that. And those tend to not have covers, so you have to wash the pillow itself. And that, of course, comes with the double whammy of, you can't just throw it in the washing machine and just throw detergent in there and turn it on and then put it in the dryer like you normally do, because a lot of that stuff will damage the pattern on it. So you have to go with a lighter approach of, you know, a lighter detergent with a delicate wash, and then in the dryer you only tumble dry it, no heat drying, because the heat drying can damage the stuff. And because of that, it can actually take like 3 to 4 hours to dry a couple pillows. And the other kind of pillow, which is usually the bigger ones, tend to have cover, and the cover you just shouldn't machine wash at all, because it's even more delicate usually. And so for those, you're supposed to wash by hand, and that pretty much means you take a sink, you maybe put a little detergent in there, but that's just to knock whatever human oils have kind of soaked into it, and then you just kind of, work that through, get the soapiness kind of running through it, and then you just keep rinsing again until the water's no longer yellow. And maybe in order to get it really, really clean, you probably do that a couple times, but for the most part, I'm okay with knocking out whatever is really easy to work out of it. because the goal here isn't to make completely clean, fresh as new pillows, but it's to take mostly some of my main ones and get them clean. And this big one that has to be hand washed also means it has to be drip dried. So since I'm in an apartment and I don't have a lot of options in that regard, this one I could actually hang up outside because it's not that perverted, but I still hang it on my shower curtain. And in order to make sure it dries without getting moldy or mildewy or something, I actually take one of my box fans, point it at it, just let air blow over it really strongly. And that probably takes a similar amount of time, maybe like 4 hours to dry, maybe more, I don't know. It was hard to tell because it was a bit cool to touch, and I don't know if it was because it was still ever so slightly damp or not, but the pillow it was in also had to be washed and had to be dried for a similar amount of cycles. Basically means most of the day was spent just washing 3 pillows, and there's a lot more than 3 back there. But these are the 3 main ones. The 2 that I tend to use as my headrests, and the one that I use to actually lay on my side. The rest really should be washed as well because, like the other ones with covers, tend to be used as, extra bedding on top of the bedding. So, laying on top of those. And plenty of the others, get exposed to all the nice oils from the hair. And there's a lot of oils, and it's a really yellow corner. Human oils are weird, but just the main 3 is a fine starting point because they are the ones that are the most important. Anyways, the point is, you can put a lot of time into that. Technically, that could be done every weekend just to make things clean if you really want to. But the other problem is I really like napping or resting or something like that, and it's hard to do that without the main pillows. Even without the secondary pillows kind of keeping everything in the place you would want them to be, it's one of those things where a 3-day weekend is better to do that because then you have the first day to recover from the week and take naps. You have the middle day to, do the laundry, and then on the last day, whatever recovery you need to do, whatever naps you want to take, you have that option. And so that's why it was important this weekend to kind of target that, because the 3-day weekend gives that opportunity. Which kind of raises the question of why I didn't watch more anime, and I guess part of the answer to that is lightheadedness, and the other part was, I think for a lot of people school is ending, and so VR chat just is a little more populated with people that are fun to hang out with. Like this, what is today? Yesterday, I hung out a little bit with one of my YouTube subscribers. He was new to VR chat. It looked like he actually enjoyed himself, which is good because I think he's still kind of new to the VR stuff as well. Obviously, he kind of kept the settings in VR chat off that are really hard for people still new to VR. Eventually, he'll have to get used to that stuff, but for the time being, he seemed to enjoy himself. And that's good. Oh, excuse me. Anyways, those are blah 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 stuff. This is mostly not interesting. I mean, if you have body pillows or you've kind of wondered how do people clean those, maybe hearing me mumble about those a little bit is interesting. Speaking of interesting, people did send comments asking questions, and I've done a spectacularly horrible job of not answering any of them at all. But I think the big important one is I hadn't been aware that Film Aficionado was going to close, but fortunately mentioning that and going to the website, I see that they're going to turn everything off on June 10th. And so my plan is actually I'm going to mostly just record the stuff from Film Aficionado that I don't already have on DVD Blu-ray. I don't know if I can actually export the whole thing. That would actually be kind of cool. I might look into trying to export my stuff. But for the most part, I think what I might do is I might try and create my own little thing. I don't know that this one would be for the thing, for people to use in general. I'm not going to worry about that initially, at least. But this is a thought I've had, because, you know, like I have my server with a bunch of DVD Blu-ray rips, and obviously I'm not going to give that to the internet to just download and do whatever they want, because that's a really good way to invite unwanted legal attention. But things I could do is I could, you know, use that sort of stuff to kind of make notes about what I do have. And a small part of that would basically mean that if somebody went to my website, they could probably find something about the anime collection and, you know, view the things that are in it. Maybe I could leave thoughts on stuff in there, or maybe people could leave conversations, but I don't know, that's future talk. But the basic minimum would be that you'd be able to go in there and see what I have. And to me, there is some use for me doing that myself. A couple of them. First of all is I do need a home project to do that. And the other one is this allows me to kind of decide what I want to, what information I want to have from just, oh, I have this DVD perspective. So it might be, oh, here's a link to a relevant My Anime list, here's a link, a relative link to this, blah, 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 blah. But I'm thinking that useful to me right now is that because I'm putting anime in boxes and I have anime here and there and stuff, some of them piled there, some of them on top, some on this shelf, that shelf, that shelf, it may be advantageous for me to create my own DVD software so I can use it to keep track of things the way I want to keep track of them. I can say, oh, this is a part of this collection, or this collection, or this collection. Maybe I won't even focus on that for the time being. But I would be able to say, Revolutionary Girl Utena, it's on top of the box there. Oh, Gurren Lagann, well, the subtitle only release is there, the dub only release is there, but the Japanese Blu-ray release is up there. I'd be able to say, this is in that box, and this is in that box. And this kind of also gives me an excuse to go through the boxes in the room there and add them to it. I might even be able to take pictures of all of them and, you know, kind of attach them and say, yeah, this is what this thing looks like. And maybe I'd even be able to give information about where I got it, so that if people were to look at this stuff in the future, they'd be able to say, oh, he got that on Amazon when it was newly released, and that's what it looks like. So if I have one that looks like that, then it was probably legit. That would be pretty cool, right? And maybe in the future, as I expand on how much information is in the database, I might be able to, you know, for my own streaming purposes. So for example, different discs on different DVDs of Trigun would have different episodes. And if I tie, oh, this rip is a part of this release together in there, then it can probably say, oh yes, it has these episodes and maybe these variants of them. That would actually be pretty cool. It might even be able to tell people extras or what trailers are here or there, and I don't know. That's all future stuff, but that would be kind of neat to have, you know? And if I'm doing it just for my own hobbyist purposes, then that probably prevents the problem others have experienced where things have just gotten too big and they needed to make money off of it in order for it to be something they could continue to do, and so they couldn't continue to do that. And it might also make it easier for me to add new stuff to it because I would be doing it for my own sake, I guess. I'm not entirely sure yet what all I would do, but that's a general idea. At least at the minimum, I'd be able to say, oh yes, this DVD is at this location, so I can then go there and get it out and do whatever I need to do with it. So that's my film aficionado plan. Take notes of the things that are in their database that I don't have yet. And I've made multiple attempts to kind of keep track of that information, and I've made no attempts to catch up on that stuff lately. So if I have that information saved off to the side, then all I have to do is, you know, create my own little solution. And the part of that that's really good for me would just be the part where I do that thing. It would be the part where I can play around with the front end, and this one is a much easier and well-defined front end than the more generic streaming server, you have to kind of know what episodes are related to which episodes and what order, and it needs to remember stuff, and how do you organize that and display that to the user. Now this one would be simpler. You show DVDs, and if it shows the first 50 DVDs and you scroll down and it shows the next 50, and it's just whatever order the database happens to return, you know, that's nice and simple. And then if you search for specific terms or sort by specific fields, that's really simple. It's all good stuff, all good things. And that one would probably be simple enough, while also non-trivial enough, that it should help me start to get a much better idea of what I need to do with front-end stuff, learning that technology. And I guess the first step for that is I really ought to buy a database computer. If you're curious, I don't actually mean buy a computer that has a database. I mean like build a computer whose purpose is to be a database computer. It would have other purposes as well. Basically it'd be a replacement for this one right there, but that one has a really bad motherboard that sometimes forgets how to read hard drives, and so always had that problem. And Ubuntu has always been ridiculously hard to install on there, but if I rebuild it with a new motherboard, a new processor, new memory, and maybe one or two extra hard drives, it'd be a place where I can play around with this database stuff on a more long-term basis. That would be pretty cool. I'd have to decide how to make sure I back up the database or something like that. But that's a different thought. For the time being, I think I've said that a couple times. It probably means I need to end this video. Yeah, because I've been trailing on for a while. Y'all, have a nice week.